So if you've seen any of the videos I've made about Billie Eilish, I recommend you look at them, because there's some pretty serious and intense messages being aimed at children through Billie Eilish's music, her lyrics, her videos. I have to say here, I'm not anti-Billie Eilish. She's a human being. I'm not anti any human being. What I'm against is destructive messages. We should not be exposing our children to destructive and harmful messages. So I'm not against any human being, and I'm not against Billie Eilish as a human being. And as I say in this message, she's free to express herself. And she's a free human being, so her self-expression is not a problem. But when really dark messages are reaching the ears and eyes of very young children, then that is a problem. So I'll read my response to that email. Thank you for your message. You made some very good points. I must tell you this. I have been researching satanic symbolism, messages and beliefs for over 15 years, and the practices that go along with these beliefs. It is 100% clear to me that Billie Eilish is involved in Satanism. And I reference another video that I made called Is Billie Eilish into Satanism? And you can find that on my channel. I have read most of her lyrics and watched all of her music videos, which, as you say, are rather dark and disturbing. The imagery and subtle messages conveyed in both lyrics and videos are mostly nihilistic and satanic and demonic. This is not a judgment, just an objective observation. Now, this would not be a problem if it was fully formed adults absorbing all this information. Yet most of her fans are mid-teens, many pre-teens, and plenty of them even are under 10 years old. They are overwhelmingly female. If you just look at the audience in her concerts, you can see this. I have 4 young children, and they have female friends aged 7 and 8 years old who have all of Billie's songs on their iPod. My point is not that she is expressing herself, which she is free to do. My point is that the very dark, demonic, nihilistic and satanic messages in her music are reaching young children. They should not be, if we care about our children. Trust me, as a father of 4 young, very happy and free children, I know that kids blossom when they have positive messages, an abundance of positive messages. The more positive, the more they blossom. Simple as that. The more negative, dark, nihilistic, pessimistic messages they watch, read, listen to, and so on, the more their joy is affected. The more emotionally numb they become, the less happy and positive. I've seen this with my own eyes over many, many years. My children, by the way, don't watch any videos which have negative messages. They don't watch anything which has dark, evil undertones. They don't watch anything with violence, with fighting, with cruelty. They don't even watch things where people are being unkind to each other, because it gives them the idea that it's okay to be unkind, it's okay to be violent. Anyway, that's another discussion for another video. I have worked with children for nearly 30 years, and I can tell you that dark and pessimistic messages cannot have a positive impact on a child's mind, emotions, behavior, etc. Every human being has a light side and a dark side. We need to teach children how to feed the light side and make it stronger than the dark side. Then they will be happier. Yet the more messages children receive along the lines of what Billie Eilish is putting out, the more their dark side is being fed. They will become more prone to pessimism, to negativity, to depression, to anger, to hopelessness. It doesn't matter what she says that her songs are about in her interviews. It's the effect on the children that is of the utmost importance. So it doesn't matter what she says the songs are about. When they're listening to the lyrics and they're watching the videos, the effect of those lyrics and the videos upon their mind, this is what's really, really important. And as I said above, children really do thrive when they have more and more positive messages. Messages of faith, messages of loving others, of forgiving others, of helping others. And I would add to that messages which are inspiring, uplifting, happy, joyful. Messages of laughter. Now, I just want to mention here that there's this idea that we shouldn't shelter our children from dark things. Well, we shouldn't feed them dark things. We shouldn't let them just wander around YouTube. There's some really, really dark things on YouTube. So we shouldn't. They don't need them. This is the thing. The important thing to understand is it's important to educate children that there are dark things. Educate them that there are bad things going on and there are people doing bad things, and don't let them live in this kind of la-la land where there's nothing bad and it's only nice, pretty things. So I educate my children about the world. I let them know that there are people doing evil things and why they're doing evil things. And I help them to understand what makes people do evil things. This is really important. So I help my children to understand the psychology, what drives people to be bad, or to do bad things. And so I help them to have compassion for people who do bad things, rather than be angry with them or just hate people who the media says are bad people. Oh, I hate that person because they're doing this and doing that. I teach them to understand people and understand that people are the way they are because of things they've experienced, because of the way they've been treated. So it's really important to educate your children about why there are bad things, why dark things do happen, and that there are unpleasant things in the world. But to protect the strength of their joy is vital. To protect the strength of the light that's in their mind, so that they don't go thinking down dark avenues, kind of getting preoccupied with dark thoughts, which is the effect of all this dark information in the media. It's getting children's minds preoccupied with darkness, evil, pessimism, hopelessness, the occult, psychologically twisted things. It's getting children's minds preoccupied with darkness when we really want to kind of enthuse children with this idea of God's beauty and God's love and God's light, and that anything can be overcome. Inspire them. It's really important to inspire children rather than fill their minds with negative images and dark lyrics and a dark mentality. We don't want to feed a dark mentality. We want to feed a light mentality, an inspiring mentality. So, this is the crux of the message, really, is that children need these things to grow, to flourish, and to be a blessing in the world. To improve society, we have to improve the children, improve the children's minds. This is the big agenda, okay? This is the big problem, is that children's minds are currently being flooded with really dark stuff. Dystopia, horror, Satanism, witchcraft, and so much more. Conflict, war, fear. Children's minds are being flooded with this stuff. And so if you do this, if you flood children's minds with all these images and ideas, and you keep doing it over and over again, then they're going to grow up. Their minds are going to be very polluted, full of darkness, full of dark ideas, full of fear, and they're going to grow up and contribute to this society in a way that we don't want. We don't want this society having more fear in it, more hatred, more anger, more kind of mentally disturbed people, because there's some seriously mentally disturbing information on the screens. Just look at Stranger Things, which is being watched by millions of teenagers over the world. And that's just one example. HBO and Netflix are putting out lots of really twisted and disturbing things for kids to watch. So you have to understand these kids Children are going to grow up into the adults that will make our society what it is. They'll be the leaders, they'll be the people in power, or they'll be the people making up organizations. What are they going to be doing? What are they going to be contributing if their minds are full of darkness, pessimism, fear, hopelessness? We need children's minds to be full of inspiration, enthusiasm, joy, God's light. Essentially, young children imitate their idols. They want to dress the same, behave the same, speak the same, and even think the same, because all children need a role model to show them what to aspire to. Famous people are too often our children's role models nowadays, and most of them do not live a pure and noble life, and thus they do not offer a pure and noble example to follow. If you show your children such if you show children such positive role models, they will aspire to them and will become a better person as a result. The kids see the videos of their idols, they hear the lyrics, and they try to get into the psyche of their role model. I know this because I did when I was growing up. I took on the mentality of what was being expressed in the lyrics of the singers I was listening to and really looked up to. So if you really look up to a singer and they're singing about certain things, if you really think they're cool and they're singing about lots of specific things, and they're all along a certain vein of thought, then you'll instinctively start to get into that vein of thought, that way of seeing the world. If your idol sees the world in a certain way, then you take on the same way of looking at the world. Billie is not at fault. She is free to do and say what she wants. It's the industry that is giving her a bigger and bigger platform, more and more exposure. This is the same industry, the entertainment industry, that is putting really dark and evil programs out for our kids to watch. Things like Stranger Things and The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix, just for two examples. This is going to mess with the minds of millions of children, guaranteed. And these are just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much, I tell you. The whole music industry, the songs, the messages, and the singers, what they're putting out, the messages they're putting out, are really dark. And especially to young teenage girls. This is my major area of concern, is the messages that teenage girls are getting. And there's other artists responsible, artists like Kesha, Halsey. They're putting out really negative messages, and it's not accidental. They all kind of fit in with the messages that Billie Eilish is putting out. And again, I'm not blaming the artists. They're free to express themselves. It's the industry which is giving them a platform and getting their messages into the minds, into the pockets of all these kids carrying around their phones, looking at these videos, lying in bed at night, scrolling through YouTube, watching these videos, listening to these messages, and just listening to the songs. The industry is the culprit here. As long as people are not hurting others, they should be free to express themselves. But in an ideal world, the media and entertainment industry would give the biggest platforms to those putting out the most inspiring, healing, positive, and loving messages. I hope that one day this will be the case. Thank you, and God bless you.